Coffee Stain just showed off a ton of new additions for the 1.1 teaser, and I've got a sneaky feeling it may be here sooner than we expect. So let's get started. Firstly, we're introduced to this beautiful rail highway. The first support is clearly a normal concrete little small pillar, but the others look quite angular, and due to their shape, I don't think this is a different position of camera that's showing that, but actually a different designed support. So this could point to some new build pieces. The issue with this though is that it would need to be 2 or 3 different pieces, presumably gradually going from a thin like concrete pillar support to a larger support. Most interestingly, it also looks like there's this hypertube junction sticking out above the hypertube, which I presume is some new type of hypertube booster that we can just manually place along hypertube networks. We then have our first look at the new hypertube junction as a whole, which, like we suspected, is an evenly distributed 3-way cross. And we then have a huge change which is so easy to miss, and that is the new placement for the signals for trains. We can now have signals on the left-hand side rather than just the right, which means that my most recent video on signaling is going to be out of date. Typical. On top of that, I had hoped that we'd have some kind of waypoint system. It doesn't look like we've got it for this, at least they've not hinted at that in this, but still interesting that we know there are now changes coming to trains. And on top of that, we also have a pipe beam variant, which is slotted inside the framed beams. I love this smooth curved variant, and we're going to see a lot more of this throughout the video. These are definitely new beams as well. And for a second, I thought we had a new decal for the pillars, but this is actually a pillar support slotted inside another pillar. Moving on to a new frame, it features this gorgeous bridge, and I love the way that they've done this, but there's a lot going on here. So there's what looks like at least 4 new beam variants. There's the gridded girder, which we can see below, and also running up the pillars. There's the pipe beams that we saw earlier, as well as the coiled pipe beam here. And then there's also this vertical straight coiled beam design as well, and I presume these are beams and are placed like beams. We also have a ton of signs that have been placed along here, and I'm very much hoping that we'll have some sort of quality of life improvements to using them for lights, whether we can copy and paste the signs directly rather than having to individually copy and paste the light to each of the signs. Interestingly as well, if you look at the far structure of the bridge, right at the top, there is a what looks like curved sign as well. Now you can do similar things with this, but given it looks like it's placed along a large pillar support, the way we would do it in game wouldn't look like this. So I'm led to believe that this is also a new type of sign for us to play around with. Moving to the next frame, there's a new garage doorway, and there's also plenty of framed shelving pieces. We then have the pioneers in different poses. At first I thought these could be new emotes, but I'm going to go against this, and instead I'm going to say that given this is all filmed using the in-game photo mode, spoilers, I know, we'll get to that shortly, these are actually probably specific poses that we can do during photo mode with our pioneers. And of course, with the photo mode, we have lots of different filters as well, which are demonstrated here. Moving on, we have the drone facility here. I'm very tempted to say that these are new vent pieces. Now, the biggest additions are probably shown in this shot right here. There's a belt counter, which I know a lot of us have been wanting. Now, this doesn't display the total items on a whole belt, but rather for a segment of belt. So this looks like it's separated between the different mergers here. I also love the way that they look with this kind of red laser over the top of them. Now, along with that, we do have the what looks like new vertical mergers and splitters. And the reason why I think they're a dedicated merger or splitter is because you can see the mergers here don't have the inputs that they normally would with a merger on the sides. Moving on, there's a new framed half pillar piece, as well as the new personal glass elevators, which look incredible. And this is definitely going to encourage me to build more vertically in my factories from now on. I also love the little elevator entrance down at the bottom there, and I presume we'll be able to place these at any point along the elevator. And if that wasn't enough, we also have better curved pipes. This looks like there's a new dedicated braid piece, which will help me certainly creating cleaner piping. And if we look below that, we can actually see there's some new curved belt pieces as well. Presumably it's a new build mode. And this isn't everything. As we know, there's also the new photo mode, and the whole of this video was captured in-game using that. Meaning if we go back over it, you can see there's a different system in place like FICSIT Cam, allowing us to train different shots together and allow us to do this moving glide cam system. There's also new filters, including in-game blur effects, and by the looks of it, a different style of lens, which will make content creation an art in Satisfactory now, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. So the next big question that's probably on your lips, and certainly one that we need to ask, is when will 1.1 be releasing? Well, given that this is a pretty beefy teaser trailer, it's more like the trailers that they release just before announcing the release date. So we normally find that these are released in the last month or so prior to the release, and then normally followed up with a video talking about some of the new stuff that has been shown off. I'm guessing we may see this as early mid-April, I guess, which would actually suck for me because it just so happens that it's the first time I'm taking a holiday in several years. So do let me know what it is that you are most excited for and whether you think we'll see the update released next month. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to replying to you all in the comments below. Special thanks goes to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Lunar Eclipse Patreons, Firefless, The Calamity, Ben, Star, and Seeker Kala, as well as our Blood Moon of the Day, which today is Papa Snoozy. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.